Hello, and welcome to my interpretive video of the Founders Hall at Humboldt State University. I use 6 primary methods of investigation for compiling this video, and they are present throughout. I'd like to begin by showing an image that I sketched, my interpretation of my experience with the Founders Hall, and what it appears to me as I walk up to it. When we contrast this with the actual Founders Hall, we can see that I made several mistakes and there are differences in perspective which are irreconcilable, but I believe that I did a pretty good job for working on memory. The day that I decided to spend a couple hours on campus at the Founders Hall, I remember how warm the sun was. It's not always like that. Sometimes it's rainy, sometimes it's overcast. But one thing that remains the same is that it is perpetually breezy. That day, though, I remember the smell of dirt and concrete cooking in the sun. I remember birds chirping, people laughing, wind wishing through blades of grass and stems and leaves and tree limbs. The gleaming walls of the school were bright, and breathtaking views of the bay were but obstructed by the upwards growing coniferous trees that were planted long ago. For this reason, I was always looking for another angle or perspective to get a better picture of the bay and the rest of Arcata. One of the things which was most interesting about this experience was in looking down on all of the other buildings. There is something a little ugly about all of these roofs, which have obviously been through many winters. But there was also something so village-like and charming about it. It wasn't always that way, though. At one point, the Founders Hall was the only building on campus. In fact, it was the campus, and Humboldt State University was called something else. I learned from the HSU Centennial Celebration webpage that the university began in 1913 as Humboldt State Normal School for the training and education of teachers, and that its first class in 1915 was comprised of 15 women. This original building was not on the campus where HSU sits today, as that land wasn't owned at that point by the school. Founders Hall wasn't completed until the 1920s, around the same time that the school changed its name to Humboldt State Teachers College and Junior College. Only a few years later, it was to change its name again to Humboldt State College, and it took until 1974 until it became Humboldt State University, as it is today. The Founders Hall was born after World War I. And it weathered World War II, having to don a new layer of paint to obfuscate its location and bright, brilliant existence upon this tall hill in Humboldt County. It's seen people come and go over the decades. It's had amazing professors and amazing students, and it continues to do so. You may notice that in this video I'm focusing upon the exterior of the building, and I did this on purpose. Not because the interior isn't beautiful, but because the exterior is really where the traffic flows most. During the first 50 minutes of every hour, there's a slow trickle of students as they leave the building. At 10 minutes till, though, there is a mass rush and exchange of students, some leaving classes, many running to their next class atop this tall hill. Funnily, nobody seems to mind having to climb the steep stairs up to the Founders Hall. It's such a welcoming and beautiful sight atop the hill, and there's such an impressive view that it's worth it every time. And that's to say nothing of the incredible knowledge that is nested inside. It truly is a wonderful building, even if it has a few odd marks on it here and there from the weathering over the years, and even if it looks a little antiquated. These have been my thoughts and experiences surrounding the Founders Hall at Humboldt State University. I'm going to end my narration here, but I encourage you to stay and watch the rest of this video, and to view the pictures at the end of the video selection. I really appreciate you taking the time, and I hope you enjoyed this experience. Until next time.